And if that happens, what kind of effect would that actually pose for Trump? Because at this point in time, we've seen Iran has been retaliating. And if you look at the comments from the Iranian media, and of course, who has now quoted Baghi, who said that, it is not certain that a deal can be reached within weeks, few weeks or months. This is a timeline at least has been given from this spokesperson of Foreign Ministry of Iran. How long do you think can Trump, and I'm not talking about how U.S. militarily, but how long can Trump go on with the strikes, considering the fact that, of course, on the home front, there is some sort of course, pressure when it comes to midterm elections. How is Trump looking at this? And he's confident. Is he confident about going and finishing at one, with these strikes?
Well, he's very confident in the strikes because he looks at it as an old school approach where if I continue these strikes, I will be able to pressure Iran to completely give up its nuclear weapons program, also open up the Strait of Hormuz. So in his commander-in-chief mindset, he thinks that that's what's going to help achieve his desired outcomes. But what we're watching here is that, yes, defense or the defensive approach may give you the short-term desired outcome, but in the long run, it's diplomacy that resolves these issues. And we're going to learn that from here, and that it's going to take a while for the United States and Iran to reach an agreement on how does this look moving forward. Now, there's been a lot of tit for tat between the United States and Iran with, Pakistan as the mediator, and it's very similar in terms of its approach as far as it's taking quite some time. It's not a short win, which has been expressed in the national security strategy that this administration is really into short wins. This has turned out like it turned out before, where this is quite prolonged. And I think that's what's really disappointing President Trump, because he wants a short win and he's not getting that compared to what he ended up getting with Venezuela.
You also talked about the nuclear weapon. Trump has also claimed that the U.S. has stopped Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. It's interesting because we don't see any deal yet, and Iran never really claimed on building a nuclear weapon. What we know is that there was talks about uranium enrichment. So what do you make of these statements coming from Trump?
Well, it reminds me of the need, again, for the international community. When the international community was part of the JCPOA, it was able to really get to the nuts and bolts as far as looking at the enrichment uranium levels, getting the parties to agree to not be able to expand or go beyond this level. And if so, it would snap back its economic sanctions. Well, we don't have the international community really involved in as far as negotiations. So I think what he's learning is that through a unilateral approach, it's harder to negotiate. You're dealing with more of a hardliner leadership, and also without the international community, it's just tougher to reach to certain agreements, especially over the nuclear weapons program.
Also, we're talking about the international community. We've seen that EU is now thinking of putting sanctions on, we don't know the entities yet, but they are, of course, looking forward for these sanctions on, considering the fact, keeping in mind the Strait of Hormuz. Do you think that would in any way strain Iran, or would that affect Iran when it comes to EU sanctions?
Well, slapping additional sanctions or individual sanctions may play a part because of the fact that economically there is some pressure that's happening within Iran. But I still feel that culturally, they can endure pain and be able to still play this war game with the United States. So just adding on more pressure, it's just may end up making them more enduring when it comes to engage the United States. We could prolong this because they know if the United States continues this ongoing war, it's hurting Americans, especially economically. Again, like I said, the pain at the pump. So a prolonged engagement with the United States is one of their desired outcomes, and it also impacts their alliances within the Gulf region. The Gulf region does not want the United States to continue military strikes in Iran, which was expressed not too long ago,
Hmm.
because of the fact that the retaliation ends up in the Gulf at a good portion of time. So we will see moving forward, but I think what Iran is doing is calculating all the costs
Hmm.
and just making sure they grow it out over time so that it can be a pressure point to the United States.
Hmm. And talking of Iran, has said that it's reviewing a new U.S. peace proposal, but officials have been saying that major disagreements still remain unresolved. Do you assess Iran doing enough to make concessions for U.S. to agree on a deal yet?
No, I do not. As far as them, reaching certain concessions, but they also too are feeling the pain when it comes to, being more prolonged with this war. And once again, I do believe diplomacy will resolve this war.
Hmm.
However, with regards to concessions, I mean, there's been some tit for tat in terms of planning of peace proposals, but unfortunately, they have not been able to reach a certain agreement, especially with the specifics involving the nuclear weapons program and the Strait of Hormuz.
Hmm.
So we will see moving forward how that happens. But I think what we need right now in order to expedite this ending this war is that we need more of the international community involved. I see that Marco Rubio is now in Europe. He needs to solicit more support from the Europeans, and then on his way to India. What can India do to help too as well?
Hmm.
As the Secretary of State, he needs the international community involved as far as helping to de-escalate it, help to negotiate the international issues, and also helping to address the global energy chain too as
Hmm.
well,
True.
supply chain. Mhm.
Right. Um, well, considering the fact that, well, their talks are going on, of course, there's always some sort of positivity we can hope for. But thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast and giving your perspective on it. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.